You might know AJ Allmendinger as a veteran NASCAR driver and a road course ringer who is the anchor of the college racing program. He's had a bumpy NASCAR career, but the fired up driver of the 16 is usually a contender on the road courses. You might wonder why, for over a decade, he was a road course ringer. A quick glance at his racing record on Wikipedia shows not a NASCAR background. AJ Allmendinger was on track to be an IndyCar driver. In fact, he raced in Champ Car for the last 3 seasons. Well, actually, not in 2007. But he drove mostly with Rue Sport, the team he dominated the Toyota Atlantic Series with. His last season with Rue Sport, as well as in Champ Car, was in 2006, the season we will discuss in this video. Allmendinger drove for Rue Sport starting in 2003 after he dominated the Toyota Atlantics, as I mentioned. He won 7 races out of 12 against a few notable names like Razzle Dazzle, Joey Hand, Danica Patrick, Kyle Kristoloff. Okay, maybe just the first 2 or 3. Rue Sport would move up to Champ Car with Allmendinger and would bring Michel Jourdain Jr. in to run a 2-car team. AJ would beat Jourdain in the point standings, 6th compared to 12th, and would take Rookie of the Year honors, but Jourdain would score the team's highest finish of 2nd place. For 2005, Allmendinger would have a new teammate from the same rookie year. The late but great Justin Wilson would surge to 3rd in the championship, recording Rue Sport's first 2 wins at Toronto and Mexico, as well as their first pole in Portland. Allmendinger would finish 5th, scoring 5 more podiums and a pole position at Edmonton to go along with it. A race he thoroughly dominated with the most laps led in the fastest lap, but he locked up into turn 11 after the final restart with 8 laps to go, giving up the lead to Sebastian Bourdais, who would go on to win the race. The win would have been a great answer to Wilson's first win from the previous weekend, but AJ would leave Edmonton with a 14th place finish. On to 2006. Allmendinger would start off the season by qualifying 4th at Long Beach, 400ths behind his teammate Wilson, who would start 2nd. On the start, Wilson would get off scot-free and later finish in 2nd place. However, for AJ, he was a victim of a teammate-on-teammate crime, where Mario Dominguez would hit the back of his Forsyth teammate Paul Tracy, who would uncontrollably make contact with Bruno Junqueira, sending the Newman Haas at Allmendinger, who was on his outside. AJ would be tagged into the tire wall and would lose the car and hit the inside wall with the rear left. At the next race in Houston, he qualified 4th again, this time nearly 3/10 ahead of Wilson, who would start 7th and overall not have a great day, but he was bailed out by the safety car that came out on lap 71 during final pit stops. Allmendinger, who was running 4th and 5th the whole race, had already pitted and would be stuck in 11th. He'd battle his way up to 8th, with his teammate Justin Wilson finishing 5th. In Monterey, it was fairly uneventful. Wilson would qualify over 2/10 faster than AJ, and they would start 2nd and 3rd, finishing those same places at the end of the race. At Milwaukee, the first level of the season, Allmendinger would qualify 3rd, just ahead of Justin Wilson, who would start 4th. Wilson would find his way to 2nd, while Allmendinger would drop to 4th. However, this race would crack AJ into the top 5 in points, being tied for 4th with Mario Dominguez on 69 points. Bourdais was leading on 136, with Wilson on 105 in 2nd, and Andrew Ranger in 3rd on 75. Allmendinger would be fired after Milwaukee. Carl Russo poached 2002 kart champion Cristiano D'Amata to replace AJ Allmendinger, who he would believe could be able to challenge Bourdais and the Newman Haas team better than Allmendinger could. At the same time, Mario Dominguez was fired from Forsyth after, in the first 2 races, he'd take out his teammate Paul Tracy in both races. Gerald Forsyth would take a chance on AJ Allmendinger, and it wouldn't go unappreciated. Allmendinger would put 7/10 on Paul Tracy's head at Portland, splitting the Newman Haas cars and taking 2nd place. Immediately from the offset, Allmendinger would take the lead from Bruno Junqueira. Allmendinger would go on to dominate the race despite lap traffic and a Justin Wilson waiting to seize any opportunity. He'd lead 100 out of the 105 laps, and despite Wilson trying to claw him in, Allmendinger would win his first start for Forsyth and take his first win in Champ Car, 5 seconds ahead of the Brit. Just listen to how much it meant to him.
History about to be made in the Champ Car World Series. A.J. Allmendinger at age 24. His
crew
first
really
drive
like
for the
donuts.
full-side
They
team.
really like donuts.
Michael Cannon talking to him on the radio, and folks, the Allmendinger victory has happened. A.J. Allmendinger gets it done in Portland.
Allmendinger would be third in the championship after this race with 102 points, 30 behind Wilson and 60 behind Bourdais. Champ Car would go on to Cleveland for the sixth race of the season, and AJ would remain unfazed. He'd drop 7/10 on Paul Tracy's head again, and he would put it on the pole, nearly 4/10 ahead of Bourdais. He might have lost the lead at the start during contact with Surya on lap 1, but a caution for a multi-car collision involving Tracy would keep him in it. There was a multitude of cautions, but when it was all said and done, Allmendinger would lead 36 of the 95 laps, including the last 16, to win his second straight win in Champ Car and to win his first from the pole. He'd still sit third in the championship, but he was only 5 points behind Wilson and 31 behind Bourdais. The next race would be at Toronto, and Justin Wilson would score his first pole of the year, and his former teammate was nearly a 10th off, starting second. Allmendinger would retain said second place on the restart, but after differing pit strategies, on lap 64, the number 7 was found in the lead again. Surely he wouldn't do 3 straight. Well, if you thought that, you'd be wrong, as he would lead 38 laps and a Forsyth 1-2. Allmendinger would win his third straight race after getting fired from Bruce Sports and snatch second place in the championship. Staying in Canada, going on to Edmonton, Tracy would finally out-qualify Allmendinger, starting on the front row next to pole sitter Sebastian Bourdais. AJ would be on the second row next to Justin Wilson, who would be the winner at the end of the race, taking his and Bruce Sports' first win of the season. Allmendinger would finish third, but Wilson would also re-overtake him in the standings with 198 points to 193, with Bourdais sitting on 221. Tracy would out-qualify Allmendinger at San Jose, started second with AJ in third, with Sebastian Bourdais on the pole. Tracy would immediately jump Bourdais on the start, and Bourdais would look up the inside of Tracy. Allmendinger, who didn't expect Bourdais to back up that much, would tap him just so slightly that it would tilt his front wing out of whack. He'd be bailed out by a caution for contact between Power and Junqueira and Oriol Servia. AJ would be stuck in the midfield for the rest of the race, and that was basically it for AJ's race. But meanwhile, his teammate Paul Tracy would do something pretty interesting.
Tracy off of turn 6.
So Tracy makes another mistake.
Watch
drives
this.
right
Watch
out.
this.
Oh no.
Pulled
Come
out.
on. Uh-oh.
PT headed toward the motorhome.
Paul, put your helmet on. Put your helmet on. How is he going to explain his way out of this?
2 Canadian nationals.
What the fuck? What the fuck? Brother, you fucking destroy my car. I have no cars. I have no fucking cars left. I have no cars left.
Wow.
Confrontation behind the wall.
And Tracy had no answer. He had no answer for Tagliani's questions.
Tag was smart. He kept his helmet on.
Can you give me one of your fucking cars? I have no cars left.
Champ Car officials on pit road.
Can you give me one of your fucking cars? I have no cars left.
Allmendinger would finish 7th, while Bourdais would win, and Wilson would round out the podium. Now, AJ would get back to out-qualifying Paul Tracy and back to the front row next to Bourdais, who was once again on the pole. Wilson and Tracy would start on the second row of the grid. Tagliani would immediately get back on Paul Tracy and would drop-kick Paul Tracy around. Tracy would carve his way back through the field, even foreshadowing the end of the race with this overtake on Mario Dominguez. Allmendinger would apply pressure to Bourdais after lap 30, but a caution would come out before he could find a way by. After the caution, Tracy would hound Wilson for multiple laps before getting him for third. Allmendinger would reapply pressure to Bourdais and would get Bourdais for the lead after several laps. Tracy would try to overtake Bourdais but would lock up and be overtaken for third. He would get third back from Bourdais during pit stops and would re-overtake Wilson. Wilson would lose another position to Bourdais, and the stage was set. I think you know where this goes. Allmendinger would lead 45 out of 97 laps and cruise to victory. Meanwhile, Tracy would have to deal with the fuel pickup problem, allowing Sebastian Bourdais to close. Bourdais would find a way past Tracy before the final corner, and while Tracy didn't have to countersteer too hard with Dominguez, this wouldn't be the same for Bourdais. This would help Allmendinger, as he would claw 13 points closer towards Bourdais, but he was still a whole race win back. Bourdais would stick it on the pole again in Montreal, with Allmendinger second, followed by Wilson and Tracy. It was pouring in Montreal, and Allmendinger, over 10 years removed from a wet race, would put the pressure on Bourdais and force him to make a mistake out of turn 2 and would seize the lead. Bourdais was definitely the fastest car over the race, but Allmendinger would hold him off until a broken drive shaft on lap 14 would put him out of it. Allmendinger would have easily won this race, and he said himself that he was holding back and still had over a second pace in him. With Wilson hitting the wall of champions on lap 48, Bourdais would effectively put one hand on the trophy, leading Montreal with his 6th win of the season and a 62-point lead. Dan Clark would score his only pole at Road America, with Bourdais alongside an Allmendinger starting 5th. A big contact between Power and Junqueira again in turn 1, causing a collision. Then Clark would get passed by Charles Woolman for the lead, with Bourdais in 3rd. Bourdais would quickly approach and overtake both, and Allmendinger, sensing blood in the water, would get past Woolman for 3rd. He'd have to wait until pit cycles to take 2nd, and after Power would bring out another caution, he'd be within striking distance of Bourdais. He wouldn't get past Bourdais, and another caution would come up not too long after. During these pit stops, Allmendinger would jump Bourdais to be net pit 1 on that strategy. Andrew Ranger would bring out another caution, but it wouldn't change the overall result. No cautions, not even the Catherine leg crash, could deter Allmendinger after the laps wound down. He'd score his 5th win of the season and would mathematically keep himself in the championship with 2 races left. With the title between Allmendinger and Sebastian, the series would head to Surfers Paradise for the penultimate race. Sebastian would qualify second behind one Will Power, who stuck it on the pole in his home race, and Allmendinger, who would start 7th, meaning he'd need to dig deep to stay in this title fight. However, it was all over on lap 18 after AJ countersteered into the wall, putting him out of the race, and with Bourdais finishing 8th, he'd clinch his 3rd straight Champ Car title 1 race early. Barring any bad luck, Allmendinger has 2nd place firmly in his lap, but this season would end with Forsyth as weirdly as it started with Rousport. Allmendinger was a Red Bull racing driver, and at this time Red Bull was gearing up for a full-time campaign in the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series, or currently now the NASCAR Cup Series. Red Bull would offer Allmendinger a drive, and AJ took it. It would be announced just 2 days after the end of the race at Surfers, and let's just say Forsyth didn't take this lightly. He'd fire Allmendinger before the final race, and with Justin Wilson scoring 2nd in that race and bagging 29 points, he'd leap over Allmendinger for 2nd and would finish 13 points ahead of him. Bourdais was once again the champion, and that was all she wrote about Allmendinger's open-wheel career. Until 2013, when he did select starts from Penske after he was released from his NASCAR contract by Penske. Basically, the last straw was Allmendinger failing a drug test, but Roger knew he had talent, so he decided to give him runs in the now O'Reilly Series, known as the Nationwide Series at the time, and gave him starts in IndyCar. He could have actually won the 2013 Indy 500 as a rookie, which would have been an incredible story. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the end of this video here, sure to smash that like button. There will be a video coming out on Saturday that is not necessarily IndyCar history related, but it'll be for newer viewers. I'm hoping, as I'm on break now, that I'll be able to get more videos out. And yeah, talk to you guys later. Peace.